recognition. He knows how the game.
From 6 down to 2, we will hear for the candidates hoping to be the next mayor of Madison before the fields narrowed down in today's primaries. That's not the only race on the ballot. We are looking at the open seats on the school board and common council as well.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning and welcome to News 3 Now this morning. It is Tuesday, February 19th. And thanks for covering for me over the last...
welcome back.
Yeah, thanks.
You were up north.
I was, and it was very icy there, and we're going to feel pretty cold today. We already are pretty chilly out there.
I can vouch for it. It's cold outside.
Yeah.
Temperatures dropped below 0 this morning. Things are quiet, though, weather-wise right now. That's the best news. Here's a live look from the WISC-TV Skycam. Sure is nice to see the light coming a little bit earlier. Now at 6 o'clock, we can actually use these camera shots. Skies are mostly clear for the area, so look for some sunshine, but boy, it's cold. Actually, not as cold as it was last hour. Last hour, we were at 4 below. This hour, we're at 3 below. 4 below, though, in the Dells, 13 below in Camp Douglas this morning. It is chilly across southern Wisconsin. Luckily, though, no wind to report this morning, so wind chill is not a factor. Here's a look at our temperatures over the next 12 hours. We're going to climb into the mid-20s, pretty close to where we were yesterday. Wind should stay light, and we have a fair amount of sunshine through the day, so actually a pretty nice day. Let's get a look at those traffic maps this morning. The roads are in better shape than they were this time yesterday. We're just seeing the usual crowd showing up on Stoughton Road right around the belt line. That's typical for this time of the morning. No issues, though, to report on the interstate or around southern Wisconsin, so travel still looking pretty good. Keep in mind, though, tomorrow morning we're looking at snow during the morning commute.
Yeah, and that could get a little dicey per usual, and that's going to last pretty much all day tomorrow.
Most of the day on Wednesday, yeah.
Yeah, which means the afternoon could also be a problem.
That's true.
All right, thanks, Hattie.
You're welcome.
So polls open in less than an hour for today's primary election. Josh Spreiter is live outside one of the many polling places downtown with more on what we're going to see on the ballot today. Hi, Josh.
Good morning, Danica. We're live outside the Madison Municipal Building when polls open at 7 a.m. today. The biggest race that you're going to find on the ballot this year is Madison Mayor. And earlier in this broadcast, we gave you a summary of all 6 candidates. In this hour, we are going to break it down so you have the chance to hear from all of them. We asked the candidates, current Mayor Paul Soglin, and challengers Satya Rhodes Conway, Raj Shukla, Mo Cheeks, and Toriana Pettaway why they believe they're the most qualified as Madison's next mayor. This is what they had to say.
If you look at all the folks that I've hired in department and division head positions and the way we've reinvigorated recruitment for diversity in city employment, we've made tremendous strides.
I'm running because everyone in Madison should have the opportunity to thrive, and I think that means we need to work on affordable housing and rapid transit, dealing with racial disparities, and being prepared for climate change.
We should grow in this community. That's how we bring revenues into our community. That's how we support our schools and the infrastructure we need. But we have to do it in a way that's environmentally responsible and in a way that meets our moral obligations to social equity.
To address this ongoing challenge that we have as a community of this sort of tale of two cities, right? And that's what we're working on here in Madison, is trying to live up to our progressive ideals, and I'm ready for that job.
This is what I do. I love the law, I love politics, but I also love providing resources to people, and I lead teams of professionals currently.
News 3 Now asks questions on issues like affordable housing, climate change, flooding concerns, and policing. You can find all of their responses on Channel3000.com. We should note that candidate Nick Hart did decline an interview with News 3 Now. That race of 6 will dwindle down to 2 after today, and the general election is set for April. Live in downtown this morning, Josh Spreiter, News 3 Now.
Seats are on the ballot, along with a Fitchburg City Council seat and the village president in Brooklyn. There are also 11 alder spots contested this year. 4 of those races have primaries today. Candidates are running in District 3 on the far east side, District 12 on the north side, 13 on the near west side, and 15 along the east side of Lake Monona. The most competitive of those today would be District 12, with a total of 5 candidates on today's ballot. District 13 has 4 people running for that seat, and there are 3 candidates each contending for the other open spots on council. You can find a full list of candidates over on channel3000.com. Just into the Channel 3000 Alert Center this morning, Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has officially announced his second presidential campaign. Senator Sanders is now one of 10 Democrats running for the presidential spot. His platform includes health care expansion, a $15 minimum wage, and free higher education. You can hear from Senator Sanders on CBS This Morning. John Dickerson has a one-on-one interview with him coming up after 7.
Back to local politics this morning. We are getting the experts' take on what we could see during this potentially historic spring primary election. Dr. Marie Shepard joins us from Madison College to break it all down. Good morning.
Good morning, Leah.
So I want to start with this mayoral race. It could potentially be the most diverse field that we've seen in a while, right?
Correct. We have a number of qualified candidates. We have the possibility of having the first African-American mayor, first openly gay mayor, and then Indian-American mayor. So a lot of diversity, a lot of talent in terms of the mayoral race this year.
And of course, the incumbent, Mayor Soglin, he has 22 years experience, over 4 decades. I'm curious what you think on whether that's going to help him in terms of name recognition, or if you think that will work against him as people want to maybe see a fresher face.
I think both. In terms of name recognition is key here. I always use sort of the boxing analogy. You know, he's the champ, and to beat the champ, you have to once again sort of knock him out. But at the same time, so for some people, they may look at this race as maybe a referendum on Mayor Soglin. But I think for most Madisonians, they will look at this as an opportunity to think about where do they see the city right now and where would they like the city to go in the future. For Mayor Soglin, his experience will be helpful, but again, there are a number of qualified challengers out there, once again, looking to take his spot.
Let's talk a little bit about voter turnout as well. We're coming off the heels of record turnout here in Madison and Dane County in the 2018 midterms. Do you think that's going to carry over into these local races?
The local turnout for primaries, it shifts over time. I think in 2011, the turnout was somewhere in the low 20% of, once again, voters. In 2015, though, once again, that primary election, voter turnout was very low at around 12%. I think it will be high. Somewhere, I think today we can expect it somewhere at least in the low 20s, maybe mid 20s.
And how about city council? There are a couple of races that have primary elections that will be on the primary ballot today. I think 4.
Yeah, exactly. And again, very competitive. Key in terms of the city council is, you know, it's the city council is sort of like herding cats, right? You have to have, once again, alders who are willing to and able to work together, but at the same time able to work and, where necessary, challenge, once again, the next mayor of Madison.
And briefly, we have some school board elections on this ballot as well.
Correct. There are 3 seats in the Madison Metropolitan School District on its board that are open, we have primary challenges. And the school district faces a number of challenges, so this is very important.
All right, get out and vote today. Thank you so much for joining us, Dr. Shepard.
Thank you very much.
It's 6:08 your time now. The city of Madison says it is already over its budget to clear the roads of snow and ice. But hey, this is Wisconsin. You know we have a backup plan. We'll talk about that next. And that's a good thing because Hattie's calling for yet another round of the white stuff starting later tonight. We'll check in on her Alert Day forecast when News 3 Now This Morning returns.
Good morning from the Hattie-O patio. A visit from Snowbanksy overnight. Take a look at the patio, all decorated with tulips lining the snowbanks. Now these snowbanks are about 18 inches tall all around me after that latest storm. So certainly nice to see some color out here. Spring is just a little less than a month away, but it's nice to see those tulips right now. Unfortunately, more snow in the forecast is likely going to cover these pretty flowers up. We'll have to paint them once again. Here's a look at our forecast for today. We are starting talking about the upcoming storm system. Much colder this morning than it was this time yesterday. If you're headed out early today, temperatures are still below zero across southern Wisconsin. So keep that in mind. You'll kind of want all the layers today. Here's a look at our alert days that are in the forecast for tomorrow, with snow spreading into the area after midnight tonight and continuing through most of the day on Wednesday. We're looking at about 2 to 5 inches of accumulation, so not a big storm by any means, but those snowbanks are getting pretty high around southern Wisconsin, and we're going to add to them again tomorrow. Another storm for the upcoming weekend has our eyes as well. It could bring a messy mixture of precipitation to southern Wisconsin, so stay on top of the forecast if you have weekend plans. Now, our winter weather advisories that are posted for the area start after midnight tonight. They are not in effect right now. They'll start after midnight and go through most of the day on Wednesday. This is why. 2 to 5 inches of snow is expected for most of us. There is still a potential for some freezing drizzle to mix in, and that will keep amounts on the lighter side to the south and east of Madison, and then a little bit on the heavier side as you go towards the north and west. For parts of northwestern Wisconsin, this is going to be, again, another half a foot or more of snow. Now, here's a live look from the WISC-TV sky cam. We have a great picture early this morning. Just a few clouds to the south, otherwise mostly clear skies overhead. It's those clear skies and the fresh snow on the ground that are leading to pretty cold conditions. 3 below here in Madison, 4 below in Platteville, 11 below in Lone Rock, and 13 below in Camp Douglas. Lucky for us, though, no wind chill to report this morning. Winds are calm in most locations. Here's a look at your future track forecast model. Again, through the day today, expect plenty of sunshine this morning. Temperatures should be back around 20 by lunchtime today, then climb to highs in the mid-20s this afternoon. Clouds will spread in from the south and west, and then we'll await the arrival of snow, which will happen after midnight tonight. Pretty good likelihood, though, that it's going to be snowing as you head to work and school tomorrow morning. The snow starts to break up during the afternoon and eventually comes to an end tomorrow evening. It'll turn a little bit milder then for the end of the week. Your extended forecast has highs in the 30s through the rest of the week, a chance to clean up and melt a little bit of that snow Thursday and Friday. And then for the weekend, again, keep in mind alert days in the forecast. A mixture of precipitation is expected. We continue with this active weather pattern, though. It doesn't look like it's going to let up anytime soon. Another storm system bringing a chance for snow Tuesday into Wednesday. And now let's get a look at your travel conditions this morning. Roads should be a little better than they were this time yesterday. We'll send it over to Josh Tim.
Yeah, looking at a pretty quiet start on the Beltline this morning. No major delays showing up yet in either direction so far. Roads here in Dane County, not too bad. Some of the usual brake lights on northbound Verona Road and Stoughton Road approaching those Beltline ramps. No delays showing up downtown around campus. Look for volume to pick up over the next hour or so. And other main routes coming into Madison, they're cruising along at the posted speeds with no major crashes or issues. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh, and thank you, Hattie. So speaking of traffic, a lot more of your tax dollars than expected are going toward snow removal this season. The city of Madison expects to overspend on this year's budget for snow and ice removal by more than $600,000. This year's budget included $2.5 million to last until the end of April. The city says they've already spent $2.6 million. There is $6.2 million budgeted for the entire calendar year, which does allow for 5.5 snow events. However, the city's already seen 6 snow events. That does not count what we'll see overnight and for the rest of winter.
The snow budget is a good example of something, the weather, we cannot control. And so we try to do our best with setting enough dollars aside to meet it and then also having money in reserve.
If the city does exceed its ice and snow removal budget, additional funding will come from a general contingency fund.
There is a chance tonight to help people without a home learn vital job skills, all while tasting some pretty tasty food made by expert chefs. Porchlight serves 8,000 people struggling with homelessness every year. They offer emergency shelters, mental health services, and job training through the Porchlight Products program. Employees learn things like how to write a resume, plus kitchen skills like chopping, fermentation, canning, and cleaning. Tonight is Porchlight's Chef's Tasting event, the organization's second largest fundraiser of the year. 13 local chefs will be there from restaurants like Graft, Quivy's Grove, and Blue Plate Catering. They're using Porchlight products to create dishes that you can sample. The event is running from 5:30 until 8 at the Wisconsin Institutes for Discovery. Madison Magazine has a story with more details up on channel3000.com.
We want to remind you about our Day of Warmth telethon happening later this week. Maybe hard to believe, but some 200,000 Wisconsinites struggle to meet basic survival needs each year, and that includes heating their homes. Including people like the elderly, veterans, and working families with children. They often have to choose between eating or staying warm. News 3 Now is partnering with Energy Services Incorporated for that Day of Warmth telethon. That goes from 4 to 6:30 Thursday evening. We'll be taking your calls and donations in a phone bank. You can also donate all day online. We certainly hope you can join us Thursday to share some warmth in our community.
6:17 your time now. A hospital here in Wisconsin is one of just 2 in the country using a new cancer treatment device. We're going to explain how it will help keep healthy cells from dying during chemotherapy.
The sun comes up around 10 to 7 this morning. It is creeping earlier and earlier, that sunrise is, and soak it in today because tomorrow, well, we'll be shoveling out again. Hattie's got an update on her forecast next on News 3 Now this morning.
Good morning from the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center. If you're just waking up this morning, skies are clear across most of southern Wisconsin. Just a little bit of cloud cover to our south at this hour. Should see some sunshine today, but it is going to be a little chilly. Take a look at these temperatures. We are about 15 to 20 degrees colder than we were this time yesterday. So sun maybe a few extra layers with the kids as they head off to the bus stop this morning. It's 3 below here in Madison, 4 below in the Dells. Janesville and Monroe are above 0, as well as Mineral Point. The rest of us, though, below 0 this morning. Your bus stop weather forecast calls for temperatures to climb back into the mid-20s. Not a bad day at all, especially when you consider sunshine with light winds. Temperatures topping right around 24 later on this afternoon. Have a wonderful day.
We certainly will. Thank you, Hattie. Parents, some of the top pediatricians in the state are once again stressing the importance of getting your child vaccinated for the flu after a child died from that virus. The CBS affiliate out of Milwaukee says the state's Department of Health Services did report that death yesterday. That's the first child to die from the flu in Wisconsin this season. We expect to learn more about who that patient was and where he or she was from at a press conference this afternoon. But health officials at that hospital are reminding parents that it is not too late to get their child a flu shot. The latest numbers show 13 Wisconsinites have died from the flu so far this season. Most of them were at least 65 years old.
State lawmakers are going to hear from local advocates about the need for critical research funding for Alzheimer's disease. The Alzheimer's Association of Greater Wisconsin is hosting a state advocacy day at the Best Western Hotel on the Capitol Square starting at 8:30 this morning. They'll be explaining why Alzheimer's is one of the most critical public health issues we have here in Wisconsin and why lawmakers should put it on their priority list. More than 110,000 people in Wisconsin are living with Alzheimer's or dementia. More than 194,000 care for loved ones with the disease.
A Fond du Lac woman is one of just 2 people in the entire country who's trying out a new cancer treatment. The Journal Sentinel's reporting doctors at Froedtert Hospital in Wauwatosa are using a device that allows them to point radiation beams specifically toward tumorous cells using the precision of magnetic resonance imaging. This addresses a decades-old problem that cancer treatments are not targeted precisely enough to avoid killing off healthy cells along with tumorous ones. The MD Anderson Cancer Center in Houston is the only other place in the country using the new treatment device. 6:23 right now. There are no crashes to report so far this morning, but ahead of another winter storm, state troopers want us all to pay more attention on bridges in this winter weather.
An important reminder. And county leaders are working out new plans for the jail after the original idea came in at double the expected cost. The day's top stories are next on News 3 Now this morning.
After 2 bodies are recovered from a semi-crash in Mirror Lake, State Patrol officials want all drivers to pay more attention, specifically on bridges.
And it is primary election day. I'm Josh Butter live in downtown Madison with what exactly you'll find on your ballot today, including a historic mayoral race.
From the Channel3000.com Alert Center, this is News 3 Now This Morning.
Good morning and welcome to the final half hour of News 3 Now This Morning. It is Tuesday, February 19th, primary election day, which we will have more from Josh on that in just a moment. The other big story, though, of the morning is the weather on its way again.
Oh, yeah. If you thought winter was over, it is not. Hattie, outside on the patio, though, she's thinking spring, aren't you, Hads?
I am. You know, when life gives you snowbanks, what do? Well, you decorate them. And Mike, our director of frozen floral set design, has been hard at work all night. You see, he painted tulips on the snowbanks that surround me here in the patio. So thanks to Mike for brightening up the patio just a little bit. Unfortunately, I don't know if you checked my forecast before I did it because those flowers are going to be covered up by tomorrow. But we'll enjoy them today. We have sunshine in our forecast today. Actually, a pretty nice forecast with really mostly clear skies through the morning into the early afternoon hours. Take a look at this view from the Edgewater Sky Cam. Some of the most beautiful sunrises are when we have just a little bit of cloud cover in the area, and that's the case this morning. Temperatures, though, are cold. If you're headed outside early today, you got to bundle up. 3 below here in Madison, 6 below in Watertown, 2 below in Platteville. Camp Douglas for our viewing area has been the cold spot, double digits below 0 this morning. No wind chill, though, to factor in today. Here's a look at your temperatures. Through the afternoon, temps will climb into the upper 20s by later on today, 24 for the high. Winds will stay very light from the south-southeast. Now, here's a look at your first alert traffic maps this morning. The roads are definitely in better shape than they were this time yesterday, but we are starting to see some brake lights show up on Highway 12, both directions north of Middleton, so be aware of that. No issues right now, though, on the Beltline. If you are heading into Madison, maybe a little bit slower than normal on Verona Road, especially in that construction zone as you approach the Beltline. That's your first alert traffic.
All right, thanks for the heads up, Hattie. In less than half an hour, you can cast your ballot for Madison mayor in Dane County's spring primary election. If you're still trying to figure out who to vote for, though, Josh Spreiter is live with a breakdown of who's on the ballot. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning, Leah. There are 6 candidates going for the job of Madison mayor right now, and no matter who wins, that person is set to make history. Each candidate really brings something new to the table. A win for current mayor Paul Soglin would be a step toward continuing his long tenure in office. Satya Rhodes Conway served 6 years as a city elder and is the managing director of the Mayor's Innovation Project, the UW-Madison Center of Wisconsin Strategy. And Raj Shukla is the executive director of the conservation organization River Alliance of Wisconsin. City Elder Mo Cheeks has served on city council for 6 years. He is also the vice president of business development at Miosoft Corporation. Toriana Pettaway is a writing candidate. She serves as the city's racial equity coordinator. And candidate Nick Hart would be the first professional comedian to lead Madison. Earlier in this hour, we heard from those candidates directly, and out on Channel3000.com, you can actually hear from them on some of the issues facing Madison right now, including affordable housing, climate change, flooding concerns, and policing. We have all of that up on Channel3000.com. Polls are open from 7 a.m. until 8 p.m. today. Back to you.
All right, Josh Spreiter keeping us all informed this morning. Thank you, Josh. In addition to the race for Madison mayor, there are 4 city council seats up for grabs, 3 Madison school board seats, a Fitchburg city council seat, and the village president in Brooklyn. There are also 11 common council spots contested this year. 4 of those races have primaries today. Those are in districts 3, 12, 13, and 15. The most competitive is District 12 on the north side, with a total of 5 candidates on today's ballot. On Madison's near west side, District 13 has 4 candidates for that seat. There are 3 candidates each contending for the seats in District 15 on the east side and District 3 on the far east side. If that is confusing, you can find a full list of candidates over on our website. That's channel3000.com.
In Baraboo this morning, investigators are still working to confirm exactly what led a semi to drive off I-90 and fall into Mirror Lake Sunday morning. The bodies of both people in that semi when the crash happened have been recovered. The Sauk County dive team was able to find the second body yesterday afternoon after a nearly 4-hour search. The name of that woman is not being released at this time, but officials did identify the man they found Sunday as Timothy Green of Kentucky. Again, authorities are still working to say for sure what caused that crash, but we do know it happened on or close to an icy bridge. State Patrol's reminding all drivers that bridges tend to be icier than other parts of the road since they have cold air coming from above and below the pavement. Troopers want all of us to slow down, avoid cruise control, and keep that wheel steady.
Just because the speed limit says one thing doesn't mean that that's what you should be driving. You're supposed to drive at a reduced speed in order to maintain control of your vehicle. So if that means less than the speed limit, then that's the expectation.
There were 2 other crashes on icy bridges that happened at the very beginning of the year. You may remember Lake Mills Fire Captain Chris Truman was killed in one of those accidents. That one happened on the Beltline near Monona Drive.
Visibility is another issue you might be running out in the roads as piles of snow are only getting bigger. The City Streets Division is working to send out trucks to take some of that snow to 2 dumping sites, though those are not available to the public. The city is also suggesting residents shovel snow to the center of your lawn to prevent any more visibility concerns on your street. You can report a problematic snow pile at the city's website. That link right there on your screen. In Brookfield, investigators are working to determine what led to a deadly Amtrak crash with an SUV yesterday afternoon. Police say a 70-year-old driver was killed. His name has not yet been released. The train was running from Chicago to Portland and Seattle. The Journal-Sentinel reports people on board didn't even feel the impact. It took more than 5 hours to clear the scene, though, before the train could start moving again.
We are getting a new look at plans to rework the Dane County Jail after the cost to build a new facility downtown came in at double what was expected. The State Journal reports that would cost about $150 million, and the county board only approved $76 million for the project. There are 3 new options: renovating existing county jail spaces, not consolidating the county's 3 jail sites into one, and building a completely new jail on county land. 2 county committees will vote today to determine whether the full board should approve another $186 million to study those 3 options.
Meanwhile, lawmakers are working on a bill to delay closing the Lincoln Hills Youth Prison. The Journal-Sentinel reports that plan would make the Department of Children and Families responsible for new and smaller juvenile facilities, rather than the Department of Corrections. The DOC would still oversee security there. In addition, bipartisan groups say they are willing to push back the closing by 6 to 9 months, but no longer than that. The facility was set to close in January of 2021, but there are concerns about how quickly replacement facilities can be built. Lawmakers are expected to introduce legislation soon with the hopes of passing it as early as next month.
New this morning, a charter school for kindergartners here in Madison is expanding. The State Journal reports 1 city schools on the city's south side will start serving 1st graders next year and gradually add in more age levels until it includes 6th graders by the year 2022 and 2023, that school year. Founder Kaleem Kerr says the independent school prioritizes reducing the racial achievement gap and preparing students for a global economy. Kerr is currently running for a seat on the Madison School Board.
All right, 6:35 your time now. Some of our neighboring states are joining a lawsuit against the president's national emergency to fund a border wall. That's coming up in the morning sprint.
And you can see historic photos and a signed baseball from a 1960s Milwaukee Braves player tonight at the Historical Society here in Wisconsin. We'll share what else is in store during tonight's Black History Month open house. That's next on News 3 Now this morning. Taking a live look right now of the gorgeous sunrise over the Capitol. Sun officially rises around 6:50 this morning. It is getting earlier and earlier, folks, and that is good news for us because I can't stress enough how much we feel like zombies or vampires during the winter.
Sure.
It is rough. So we will check in with Hattie in just a bit here for a look at your forecast. First, though, Patricia emailed us this News 3 morning picture. And my goodness, it is a beautiful Golden Globe sunrise, as she described it. Just a lovely, lovely shot, and you just kind of feel the warmth from it.
We could use it. It is cold out there today, Patricia, but I hope you get outside, take a couple more pictures of this sunrise because it does not look like we're going to have a very good one tomorrow.
No.
Thanks so much for sharing. What does your morning look like? Take a picture and post it on our Facebook page or on Twitter and use the hashtag MyNews3Morning so Danica and I can find and share our favorites right here on the program.
Madison police are asking for your help to keep your own community safe.
If you weren't able to make it to last night's Good Neighbor Night with the Madison Police Department, you can still participate in their Good Neighbor Project. That's similar to a traditional watch group with the goal of building community. Police say it can be as simple as exchanging phone numbers with your immediate neighbors and giving them a call when you see something that looks off. A good initiative there.
Yeah, no kidding.
All right, you have a chance to learn more about racial equity issues facing our community later tonight.
That's right. Edgewood College is hosting a panel discussion that will focus on policy change, community-based efforts, and investments that can be made to promote racial equity. Now, the conversation is at the Predlin Hall on campus. Featured speakers will include the president and CEO of the Urban League of Greater Madison and the former executive director of Wisconsin's Housing and Economic Development Authority. That runs from 5 until 6:30 tonight. Also happening tonight, the Wisconsin Historical Society is hosting a special open house for Black History Month. You can look through the African American archives and museum collections, plus hear spoken word, step team, and church choir performances. Melly Mel's Deli will be serving up some soul food as well. That is like my favorite restaurant name of the morning. The Lieutenant Governor Mandela Barnes will speak at the event around 6 o'clock. Doors open at 5, and there's also a discussion about plans for a new Wisconsin History Museum on the Capitol Square. The Historical Society has been holding listening sessions across the state, asking how the museum could best represent the diverse cultures here. The plan is to build a $120 million museum downtown by the year 2024. That would more than double its current exhibition space.
6:41 your time now. Plows in Madison were out overnight trying to push back the snow from the curb, maybe lay down some sand where it was needed, and they are not going to get much of a break before Wednesday. That's when Hattie is preparing all of us for yet another storm. Just a friendly reminder, winter officially ends a month from tomorrow.
Woohoo! Before Hattie's forecast, though, it is February 19th, and we want to say happy birthday to Brinley and all the kiddos turning 3 today. Thank you for celebrating with us here on News 3 Now this morning.
Look.
From the News 3 Now First Alert Weather Center, we're talking snow once again. And if you're wondering how we compare to past seasons, well, here's the last several years. Of course, you may remember 2007, 2008, the record-setting year, over 100 inches of snow that winter. Haven't even come close to that the subsequent years. Last couple of years, we've ended up with right around 44 inches of snow. Now, we're already above that this year. In fact, we're above normal with those snow totals. Adding on the 0.3 yesterday, we're up to 46.7 inches of snow for the season. And again, more snow is in the forecast, so that number will keep climbing as well. Normal snow for the season is right around 51 inches. A couple of alert days in the forecast wanted to tell you about. For Wednesday, we are looking at more snow accumulation across the area. There's also a chance for a little bit of freezing drizzle to mix in. And then for the weekend, already have our eyes on a potential storm bringing a mix of precipitation to southern Wisconsin. But for this next storm tonight into Wednesday, generally 2 to 5 inches of snow is expected, and that will fall through the day on Wednesday. Lighter amounts to the south and east, where you have a better chance for a little bit of freezing drizzle to mix in. Higher amounts to the north and west. And for parts of northwestern Wisconsin, it's going to be another big storm with over 6 inches of snow expected. For us, though, we'll be a little bit lighter than that. Take a live look from our Platteville camera, Queen Bee Radio Skycam, showing you a beautiful sunrise, but also some fog in the area. Some fog has developed in Platteville. Visibility there is less than a mile. Visibility is down to 0 in Mineral Point. Again, keep in mind with fog in place and temperatures as cold as they are, there may be some slippery spots on the roads. Temps are below 0 in many spots this morning. No wind chill to factor in, though, which is good news. Through the day today, we are talking temperatures in the mid-20s this afternoon. Sunshine and light winds will be with us through the day. Clouds move in tonight. Here's your future track forecast at midnight. No snow across the area, but that snow spreads in after midnight. Pretty good bet that you'll see snow falling, maybe heavy at times through the morning commute tomorrow. The snow will start to break up, but we still could see some snow showers during that evening commute. Highs will be in the lower 30s tomorrow. Extended forecast has temperatures then staying in the 30s, so some melting taking place. A couple of days to clean up Thursday and Friday before that next storm system moves in Saturday and Sunday. It does cool down a little bit as we head into next week. Here's our pet walk forecast.
Styles
is styling on that perch.
Look at that.
In Montello. What a cool face.
Yeah, giving a new definition to catwalk there.
I guess so.
Nice. Look at that. I know, I thought that was pretty clever.
She's here all week.
I am. Thank you, Abby.
You're welcome.
The morning sprint's coming up next right here on News 3 Now this morning. Stay with us.
Turn
6:50 your time right now. It is time for the morning sprint. Hattie's got an all of the layers kind of morning before the snow gets dumped on southern Wisconsin again.
Josh Brighter has on all the layers, reporting on primary election day. We start with him downtown with what's on your ballot. Good morning, Josh.
Good morning. Polls open up in just a few minutes at 7 o'clock this morning, and the biggest race you'll see on your ballot is for Madison mayor. 6 candidates will be dwindled down to 2 today, and no matter who wins, this will be a historic race. A win for current mayor Paul Soglin would be a step toward another term in office. Challenger Satya Rhodes Conway, a former alder and head of the nationwide mayor think tank, would be the first openly gay mayor of Madison. Current city alder and business leader Mo Cheeks would be the first African-American to win. Ross Shukla, the head of the River Alliance of Wisconsin, would be the first Indian American to take the job. Write-in candidate and race equity coordinator for the city, Toriana Pettaway, would be the first African American to fill the role, and Nick Hart would be the first professional comedian to lead Madison.
Thank you, Josh. There are also primaries for 4 of the 11 contested council seats on today's ballot. That includes candidates running in District 3 on the far east side, District 12 on the north side, 13 on the near west side, and 15 along the east side of Lake Monona. There are also 3 Madison school board seats, a Fitchburg City Council seat, and the village president in Brooklyn. You can find a full list of the candidates over on our website, channel3000.com.
And at least we're not dealing with any snow this morning, but it is cold outside. Take a look at the current temperatures. Many spots with a negative in front of the number this morning, so bundle up. Our forecast high is 24 later on this afternoon with sunshine and light winds through the day. Snow spreads into the area, though, after midnight tonight.
Thank you, Hattie. In Baraboo, investigators are still working to confirm what exactly led a semi to drive off I-90 and fall into Mirror Lake Sunday morning. 2 bodies were recovered from the lake. Dive teams pulled out a woman yesterday afternoon after nearly a 4-hour search. Her name is not being released at this time. Officials did identify the man they found Sunday as Timothy Green of Kentucky.
As authorities work to confirm what caused that crash, we do know it happened on or close to an icy bridge, and state patrols reminding all drivers that bridges do tend to be icier than other parts of the road since they have cold air coming from above and below the pavement. Troopers want to remind everyone to slow down, avoid cruise control, and keep that wheel steady.
Weather we cannot control, and so we try to do our best with setting enough dollars aside.
As more snow heads our way, the city of Madison is already expecting to overspend on this year's budget for snow and ice removal by more than $600,000. We've already seen 6 snow events, and the city only has enough in the calendar year to pay for 5.5. If the city does exceed the budget, extra funding will have to come from a general contingency fund.
We are getting a better idea of 3 options to rework the Dane County Jail after the cost to build downtown came in double what was budgeted. The State Journal reports county leaders are now looking at renovating existing jail spaces, not consolidating the county's 3 jail sites into one, or building a completely new jail on county land. The county board originally allocated $76 million for jail renovations, but the paper reports new estimates came in at $150 million.
Assembly Republicans are working to raise the pay for attorneys representing poor defendants. This comes as they're facing a lawsuit alleging funding and staffing issues have violated the rights of low-income defendants to competent defense attorneys in speedy trials. Those lawmakers are also backing the hiring of 61 more district attorneys. That plan would cost about $50 million over the next 2 years.
We should learn more later today about the first child to die from the flu here in Wisconsin this season. The State Department of Health Services reported its first pediatric influenza death in Milwaukee yesterday. Officials at children's hospitals stress that it is not too late to get your kids vaccinated for the flu.
The president is tweeting this morning about the lawsuit challenging the constitutionality of his emergency declaration for border wall funding. The attorney generals of 16 states filed that lawsuit. The president says he is willing to take the fight all the way to the Supreme Court. Dozens of rallies were held around the country yesterday to protest that declaration. Wisconsin is not part of that lawsuit, but Minnesota and Michigan are.
Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders has officially announced his second presidential campaign. Senator Sanders now joins 9 other Democrats looking to run against President Trump in 2020. His platform includes health care expansion, a $15 minimum wage, and free higher education. You can hear from Senator Sanders on CBS This Morning coming up when he sits down with John Dickerson for a one-on-one interview.
In just over a week, we will learn if Milwaukee will host the 2020 Democratic National Convention amid some questions about whether that city can handle the visitors. The city does have the required 15,000 hotel rooms within a 20-minute drive of the convention center, but only 5,500 of those are downtown, which could lead to some traffic issues. The other two DNC host finalists, Houston and Miami Beach, both have 8,000 downtown rooms.
Beloit Memorial High School, I should say, has a new interim principal to replace former principal Orlando Ramos. You may remember he resigned last week. Emily Pells, the district's executive director of special education, will serve as that school's interim principal for the rest of the school year. Ramos was placed on administrative leave earlier this month. The district still hasn't said why.
A charter school for kindergartners in Madison is expanding to serve older kids. The State Journal reports one city schools on the south side will enroll first graders next year and gradually add in more grades until it includes K through 6th grade by the 2022-23 school year. Founder Kaleem Kerr, who's running for the school board, told the paper the independent school prioritizes reducing the racial achievement gap.
All right, your time right now is 6:56. Let's turn it over to Josh Tim with one more look at your first alert traffic. Hi, Josh.
Yeah, good morning. Starting to pick up now on the westbound Beltline as everyone heads out for the day. I would look for slowdowns between Stoughton Road and West Broadway, and it will continue to get busier. Having the brakes on the inbound side of John Nolan, especially between Rimrock and Olin Avenue heading toward downtown. That's going to add a couple minutes. Other main routes coming into Madison still cruising along at the posted speeds with no major crashes or delays. Your first alert traffic, I'm Josh Tim.
Thank you, Josh.
And here's the view from the Edgewater Skycam, looking out over a very frozen Lake Mendota this morning. It's a chilly start to the day today. Temperatures are below freezing in many spots. Here's a look at your day planner temperatures. With some sunshine and light winds, though, should warm up rather quickly. We're headed to highs in the mid-20s this afternoon. Again, snow is in the forecast then for tonight into Wednesday is an alert day. 2 to 5 inches of accumulation is expected.
Glad to have you back just in time for the next snowstorm.
Yeah, why not?
Thanks so much for joining us this morning. Make sure you download that First Alert weather and traffic app to keep an eye on this next weather system. We'll see you back here tomorrow morning.